Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here, and I thought I'd cover the new Eliminator from Kawasaki, which adds a smaller capacity cruiser to their lineup, sitting under the Vulcan S 650, and landing in direct competition to Honda's CMX 500, or Rebel 500 as it's also called, and probably the Benelli 502C too. But can the new Eliminator compete? Let me know if you think Kawasaki are onto a winner down in the comments and why, or why not. My take will be at the end of the video. While pricing isn't released everywhere, we can see US pricing, and I'll admit to being a tiny bit disappointed that there's such a premium over the Ninja 400, with the base Ninja $5299 US compared to the base Eliminator landing at $6649, with both being non-ABS models and representing a $1,350 US difference. The Honda Rebel or CMX in the US sits at $6449, so it's actually cheaper than the new Eliminator, although you do need to add all your on-road costs onto these figures. In Australia, the Ninja 400 is almost 9k, so I imagine the Eliminator will be around the 10.5k mark, if not a little higher, which is where the CMX 500 sits here, although our prices are right away and out the door. Taking a closer look at the Eliminator itself, we're seeing a stroked version of the Ninja 400 and Z400 engines, up to 451cc, in a move no doubt aimed at chasing torque and a character more fitting for a cruiser, although hopefully this variant of the engine will also make its way into other models too. Versus X400 anyone? That's a liquid-cooled parallel twin with 32mm throttle bodies, 6-speed gearbox, a slightly lower compression ratio, and an assist and slipper clutch. Peak performance is 33.4 kilowatts or 45 PS at 9,000 RPM, and torque hits 42.6 Nm or 31.7 foot-pounds at 6,000 RPM. Compared to the regular 399cc P-twin from Kawasaki, that's a little less power, quite a jump in torque, and both peak lower, particularly that torque figure, which should offer much better rideability and accessibility of performance for general use. Gearing is also modified too, and they'll have needed to tune the Eliminator for the new engine and exhaust setup, so a slightly different character to the existing 400 models is to be expected. They are great things, so it'll be interesting to see what we get. The chassis setup is fairly basic, as we'd really expect here. There's a trellis steel frame, 41mm forks with no adjustability, and twin shocks in keeping with cruiser styling, which should offer preload adjustment. There's 120mm of travel at the front and a shorter 90mm of travel at the rear, which is more typical of a cruiser. I reckon Kawasaki did a good job of the suspension on the Ninja 400, so hopefully they'll have nailed it on this bike too, but I am about 75 kilos, so I might just be lucky on the Ninja. The wheel combo is an 18-inch front and 16-inch rear, obviously both alloys, and tyres will be a 130/70 front and 150/80 rear, which gives the bike a chunkier looking rear and well proportioned front end with that bigger wheel. Brakes are 3 10mm front rotor and 2 40mm rear rotor, both running dual piston calipers, and ABS is standard here in Australia, but an extra for riders in the US. I'd say that's a $300 well spent for new riders though. The brake setup isn't astonishing by any means, however once you add in that 176 kilo curb weight, fueled, this is a light machine and the setup is well capable of pulling up that much bike. Fuel capacity is 13 litres and seat height lands at 735mm, which isn't the lowest but should be inviting. A low or high seat option can take that to 715mm or 765mm too for shorter or larger riders. With the more compact seat to peg ratio, as there isn't forward controls, I can see the taller seat being popular for those who want a bit more room. Reach to the bars looks like a pretty straight-armed affair unless you're enormous, and this is a smaller machine relative to most cruisers. Other noteworthy features are an LED headlight with a timeless single round unit that won't upset anyone and really looks good. The dash is a round LCD, so no TFT, but you do get smartphone connectivity. There's no electronics package though, even if you can use the Rideology app, so the scope feels a little bit more limited there. Maybe they should have left this out and knocked a couple hundred off the price, and maybe it's just me, but smartphone connectivity sits well down the list of features I'd wish for, particularly with an LCD dash, and traction control would surely have been a better inclusion. The exhaust muffler is a fairly large piece of kit that won't excite anyone, except when you're stripping it off, I imagine. However, the header and collector are clean, minimalist, and it looks like an aftermarket muffler will be easily fitted, so that's a win. There's also room for a pillion with a smaller secondary seat, with the bike sure to have enough power for 2 riders. There's a bit of a blacked out approach on the standard version, incorporating the mirrors, levers, shock, engine and wheels, and you can opt for the SE or special edition version to take that a step further with blacked out fork tubes, frame, exhaust cover, alongside a special colour scheme, USB-C port at the bars, and a headlight mini fairing for an almost cafe racerish feel. Add fork gaiters and SE specific seat and it's a cool little upgrade over the standard. That's an extra $600 over the base model. However, the SE comes with ABS as standard, which covers half of that difference, making it the better deal in my mind, even if you don't like that bikini fairing. Overall styling is neo-retro cruiser again to my eye, with a nice modernity to it that's not trying to offer a poor replica or a traditional cruiser, but I'd say also outstyles competition like the CMX or Rebel as well as the 502C, and again, that's just to my eye. Overall, I think the Kawasaki Eliminator ticks all the boxes. Obviously, it's not a V-twin, but that's the norm, and Kawasaki deserves some praise for not just throwing the exact same 400 engine in. Ergos look good, performance is a standout, and there's very little I could think of complaining about. What will be interesting is how they've sorted that suspension and the fueling. I'm kind of hoping they got rid of the rough transition on and off the torque and engine braking that the Ninja 400 has. Not a major issue, but a small gripe I've always had. Looking at US pricing as a comparison point, I do think it's disappointing they couldn't keep the bike closer to the Ninja 400 on that metric. There's not a heap of new extras to justify the difference in price, which seems to come down to the cruiser premium. That can maybe be justified by this bike currently running the tweaked engine and a heap of components just for this bike. However, I would have thought introductory pricing would be super competitive, certainly undercutting the Honda. Of course, there's not much of a performance difference really between the Kawasaki and the Honda, and we are currently comparing essentially 2023 Honda pricing with 2024 Eliminator pricing. So there's a possibility it'll bump up a little bit more there on the Honda side of things. So let me know what you think in the comments. Is the Kawasaki Eliminator a winner? I'll do a comparison video to the CMX 500 or Rebel 500 shortly to see how the two stack up directly, so keep an eye out for that one if you're interested. Stay safe out there and thanks for watching.